Welcome in, everybody. Ready for another Dave Dive. Today we're taking a look at the Samsung Galaxy Book 5 Pro 360 laptop. And let me tell you, this review we're dissecting is seriously in-depth. Hopefully by the end, you'll know if this is the right device for you.
This review was packed with info. Some of it's surprising, like those performance upgrades. Really makes you wonder if this is even just a laptop. Of course, no tech is perfect, so we'll get into some quirks too. Ready to dive in?
Let's do it. So first up, the reviewer was looking at the 16-inch model. That's the one we're focusing on too. And they called it a beefcake. Haha. I guess that's one way to put it. Kind of funny since this line's known for being pretty thin, usually.
Yeah, not exactly svelte for a laptop, that's for sure. But hey, sturdy and fingerprint resistant, which is always a plus, right? Though I guess you'd need a decent-sized backpack to lug it around.
True. And no exciting color options this time around, just gray.
Yeah, just the one. A little boring, but then again, sometimes simple is best. On a more exciting note, the 360-degree hinge super smooth, reviewer was raving about it. Perfect if you want to use it as a tablet or sketch with the S Pen it comes with.
Which is great for taking notes or getting creative on the go. Speaking of being on the go, how'd the reviewer find the port situation?
Standard, but not amazing. Got your Thunderbolt 4, HDMI 2.1, USB 3.2, all the essentials, really. They weren't thrilled about both Thunderbolt 4 ports being crammed on the same side, though.
What? That's so awkward. Why would they do that?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Sure.
Not the most practical design choice, I'll admit. A cleaner setup at your desk, maybe, but still. On the plus side, security is top-notch. You've got your fingerprint sensor, works like a charm apparently, and they've even gone the extra mile with a dedicated security chip just for biometric data. So, no worries about anyone stealing your fingerprints.
Well, that's good to know. Now let's talk about something a little more, shall we say, tactile, the keyboard. The reviewer seemed a little on the fence about it. How'd you read it?
Yeah, bit of a mixed bag. Good for typing, they said, decent feedback, all that. But the integrated number pad, apparently a recipe for disaster. Lots of accidental keystrokes.
Oh, no. That's frustrating, especially if you do a lot of typing or number crunching.
Exactly, not ideal. Could be a deal breaker for some. Though the touchpad, they like that. Nice and spacious, easy to navigate. They did mention some issues with left clicking though, so that's something to keep an eye on, maybe just a one-off issue. Who knows?
Okay, so maybe not a total disaster, but now for the main event, the thing we all really care about, the display. And it sounds like it's a good one.
Oh yeah, the reviewer was gushing, called it absolutely cracker. We're talking 16 inches of pure AMOLED goodness, 3K resolution. Sharper than a hawk's eye after a trip to the optometrist.
I think that's a good thing, right?
Definitely a good thing. Colors are going to be popping, blacks deeper than the Mariana Trench, the whole shebang. And for the creative types, the color accuracy is spot on, apparently. You can finally stop squinting at your laptop screen trying to figure out if that's actually teal or turquoise.
That sounds amazing. And what about that refresh rate? I heard it's impressive.
Oh yeah, 120 hertz. That means buttery, smooth scrolling, crystal clear action scenes, the whole 9 yards. And if you're working outside or in a brightly lit room, no worries, the brightness is more than enough to handle it. No more squinting at a washed out screen.
So, all good news for our eyes then. What about those times when you want to ditch the keyboard and get a little hands-on, like literally?
You mean with the S Pen? Yeah, they include one passive, not the fancy Bluetooth kind. Still, good for a quick sketch or note-taking session, the reviewer said.
Handy to have, though I did read something a little weird about it. No dedicated storage.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like they're begging you to lose it. Which, let's be honest, with a stylus is always a possibility. But at least you'll hear it rattling around when it inevitably falls out of your bag.
True, true. Speaking of things that sound good, what'd the reviewer have to say about the audio on this thing?
Get this. They were impressed. And I'll admit, I was too when I saw the specs. We're talking a full-on quad speaker setup here. AKG no less. Dolby Atmos support too.
Wow, serious audio chops for a laptop. Were they blown away?
Let's just say they weren't disappointed. The reviewer even mentioned the bass, said it was surprisingly good. No tinny laptop speakers here.
Music to my ears, literally. Okay, but let's get down to business. The real question is, how's the performance? Can this thing handle the heat?
In a word, yes. The Intel Core Ultra 7 processor, it's a beast. Everyday tasks. Please, this thing eats spreadsheets for breakfast. Even handled some creative apps without breaking a sweat.
That's what I like to hear. No lagging, no freezing, no spinning wheel of doom.
None whatsoever. And for the benchmark nerds out there, the Cinebench scores were off the charts, especially for single-core performance.
So it's snappy, though.
Snappy is, well, you get the idea. Fast.
Yeah.
Really fast. But there's one caveat.
Oh, let me guess. Integrated graphics.
Bingo. Not a deal breaker for everyone, of course. Casual gaming, older titles, you can definitely get away with it. Just don't expect to be playing the latest and greatest on max settings.
Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. Unless you like your games running at about 5 frames per second.
Exactly. But hey, if you need that level of graphical prowess, you're probably not looking at a laptop like this anyway.
True enough. So it's a performance powerhouse, as long as you're not expecting it to replace your gaming rig. But you know what everyone really wants to know?
How long it'll last on battery?
Hit the nail on the head, spill the beans, what the reviewer finds.
Okay, get ready to have your mind blown. We're talking 10 hours of mixed use. 10 hours.
Seriously, that's impressive for any laptop, let alone one with this much power.
Right, but it gets better. Netflix binge watchers, listen up, 14 to 15 hours
Great.
on a single charge.
No way. You're messing with me. That's like 2 seasons of Stranger Things.
Nope, straight from the reviewer's mouth. It's official. This thing's a battery life champ.
That's a game changer, especially for those of us who are constantly on the go.
Tell me about it. No more desperately searching for an outlet at the airport. This thing's got your back.
So portable power, amazing display, killer performance. Sounds pretty good so far. But let's circle back to that keyboard for a sec. The reviewer mentioned some mixed feelings about that integrated number pad. What's the deal there?
You know, keyboards, it's such a personal thing. What feels good to one person?
Right. Totally subjective.
Exactly. Some people swear by integrated number pads, others not so much. The reviewer fell into the latter camp, apparently.
Yeah, they did mention something about accidental keystrokes. Not exactly ideal.
Especially if you're doing a lot of typing, spreadsheets, that kind of thing.
So, potentially a deal breaker for some, depending on their workflow.
Definitely something to keep in mind.
On the other hand, at least you won't lose it, unlike a certain stylus we know.
Huh.
Yeah.
Touche. But hey, let's talk about something a little more positive. Like, say, that incredible audio setup we discussed earlier.
Oh yeah, those quad speakers. Definitely a highlight.
And the Dolby Atmos.
Ah.
It's a huge difference, especially when you're watching movies or listening to music.
Yeah, the reviewer was raving about the bass, said it was surprisingly powerful for a laptop.
Agreed. It's clear that Samsung put some serious thought into the audio experience on this one.
They definitely weren't messing around.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they wanted to cover all the bases, you know? But that keyboard, though, still not sure what to make of that whole integrated number pad situation.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Definitely a love it or hate it kind of feature. I'm leaning more towards hate it, personally. Just seems like a recipe for typos.
Right. Like, imagine trying to crunch some numbers with that thing. Disaster waiting to happen.
Tell me about it. But I guess if you're not a number pad power user, it might not be so bad. Just something to consider, for sure.
So, big question time. Is this the ultimate laptop? The one to rule them all?
Oh, the million-dollar question. Honestly, I'd say it comes pretty darn close. But for a specific type of user, you know.
Yeah, spill the tea. Who's this thing perfect for?
Okay, so picture this. You're someone who lives and breathes multimedia, movies, editing photos, you name it. And battery life. Essential. You're always on the go, no time to be tethered to an outlet.
Sounds like a lot of our listeners, actually.
Right. So for those folks, yeah, the Galaxy Book 5 Pro 360 checks a lot of boxes. Performance is there, display is gorgeous, and that battery life, unbeatable. But, and it's a big but, gamers, look elsewhere. That integrated graphics card just won't cut it for the latest titles. And anyone who's super picky about their keyboard layout might want to try before you buy, just to be safe.
Solid advice. So for anyone still on the fence about this laptop, what's the one thing they should ask themselves?
Simple.
Yeah.
What am I actually going to be using this thing for? Once you've got that figured out, the decision's a whole lot easier.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, folks, there you have it. The Samsung Galaxy Book 5 Pro 360, dissected, analyzed, and laid bare. Hopefully you're feeling a little more enlightened, a little less confused, and ready to make an informed decision. Until next time, happy teching.